Let's see. I think now would be a good time to break and ask questions about this type of photography, about action, about sports. If you have questions about flash settings, flash height, power, lens choices, those types of things, ask them now. Question up front.
My question would be, how much time do you spend bracketing in a blurred concept?
So bracketing, so I'm going to define that for other folks. What bracketing, the way I'm thinking about it is bracketing your exposure, brighter versus darker. Once I get my exposure set, I just leave it there, because in these type of action photos, you don't have a lot of time to shoot and then shoot again and shoot again, you know, underexposed, metered, and then overexposed. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because his movement's not repeatable. You saw how hard it was for me to actually get one shot where everything was framed. Now try to bracket that, it's not really going to happen.
And what about, how do you address, in a real life situation, when you're trying to get more focus on a particular part, like in the photo where he's Supermaning across?
Okay.
And on the one on the right, like, how would you ever try to address maybe picking up more detail in the areas that are actually focused?
Yeah, so it's a good question. And I think the gist of your question is, he doesn't really, there isn't a lot of definition around him, right? There's almost too much blur. So what's the solution to that? How do we make it so it looks like there is more definition on him? Well, the answer is to use a faster shutter speed. I don't recall what I landed at, but let's just say that I was at a 30th of a second. A 30th of a second left that much blur, and in that case, it's just too much blur. In fact, in his eye is almost completely gone, because you're getting this overlap from his motion blur. So rather than a 30th of a second, I would shoot it again and shoot it at a 60th of a second. So twice the shutter speed, half the blur, and maybe that's enough. So it's being able to do this on your camera out in the field is sometimes quite difficult, because your camera's just got the little screen on back. And so, but what I would encourage you to do is have the patience and the determination to get it right. So sit there and look at it carefully and say, my blur is too big. What's the solution? Faster shutter speed. Then shoot it again. Zoom in for the next shot and do it till you get it right. That's what we do as photographers. We get it right, you know, and when you start doing stuff like this and get paid to do it, your client wants it just right too. And then something else you might consider is bringing out a computer, bringing a laptop or your iPad, and tethering your iPads and your tablets these days. You can, through Bluetooth and through other easy Wi-Fi connectivity, you can actually see the images right there in real time. I would encourage you to do that. It gives you a bigger screen to see detail. You can also show your client and say, this is what we're getting. Are you happy with this? And if they're happy, then you're happy and you're going to get paid. So that's a great question. Yeah, other question up front.
With this particular shoot, it was probably what I'd call a staged shoot, as in they weren't actually performing live or in a competition or anything. When you are shooting in those sorts of environments, though, how do you not disturb or blind athletes with a flash?
Yeah, that is a really good question. So I've photographed a lot of different sports over the years. And let's take American football, for example. Typically, you can't really get down on the field with your lighting equipment, you know, because the only time that people are going to be close enough to the camera is when they're on your side of the sideline. And even then, you know, if it's like a night game and you got your flashes set up, and this guy's going for a catch and your flash fire's right there, you're influencing the game, and that's never a good thing. So outdoor sports like football, American football, soccer, those types of things, I find it pretty near impossible to use flash. I don't want to say it is impossible, but like you said, it's not scripted or staged. So what are you going to do? Well, if you have to use flash in those environments, there is a product. There are a few products. They're called Fresnel lenses or Better Beamers. I don't know if you've heard of this company before, Better Beamer. We use it in bird photography and wildlife photography. It basically takes the light and collimates it and makes it very kind of a telephoto type of light. You could use that. But over the years, what I've found for big field sports photography, I don't even worry about flashes. I just use my camera's high ISO and real fast shutter speeds and call it good. Now, let's say you're inside in an arena. Let's go to volleyball, basketball, something along those lines. Sometimes in those arenas, they will allow you to set up lights ahead of time, okay? Like the NBA finals, if you watch the TV broadcast carefully, you'll see pulses of light going off regularly throughout the broadcast. Well, the photographers have set up lights in the rafters ahead of time. And trust me, they're not these little Nikon speed lights. They're big honking studio lights, and they've got a bunch of them up there. So just the light kit for that, is $10,000 worth of lighting to pull that off. So what I've done sometimes, if it's like younger kids playing, I'll set up my Nikon speed lights on one end of the court, okay, on a stand like this. I'll go bare bulb flash, and I'll set up one on this side, one on that side, and I'll radio trigger or optical trigger. Either way is fine. And basically, the only time I know those flashes will work is when the subjects are down by the net, underneath the hoop. And I'll talk to coaches ahead of time. I'll talk to the referee ahead of time. And if everyone's cool with me doing that, then I can get some nice pictures. And basically, I'm using 2 flashes at least. And it's great because you basically have a key light and a rim light, and the overall look looks very nice and sharp. But when they're mid-court, what do? You just have to live with it and not shoot the photo. Super question. Other questions?